I just have to finish up. Most people were like, okay, because now you know I saw you.
Exactly.
And I want you to just hang in there. My creations. Are we live? Are we alive?
Are we alive? Are we alive? Are we? I do believe so, because this is the shirt you've got on right now, and it's showing on the screen. There you are.
I just heard your phone. Okay.
I just turned it off.
And I saw good morning from Charlie. So we will give everybody a minute. And poor Marlene is going to be deaf by the time this is done, because I'm going to be yelling the entire time. And I'll tell you why in just a second.
It's over here, huh?
It's over there, yes.
So they can hear me better than you, probably.
The funny thing is they should, but somebody said last week they couldn't hear you, and it's probably just because I'm so much louder than everybody.
Do I need to speak up?
Marlene, say hi.
Hi, everybody. I have a big mouth.
She's
They
got
can
a
hear
big
me.
mouth.
Everybody can hear
Everybody
me
can
and
hear
you.
me.
Very big mouth.
So while we're waiting for everybody, because I've got a pile of new stuff and I've got some fun things to talk about, the reason that we may sound distant, and I'm sorry, the volume is up as loud as it can go, and I brought the tripod as close as I could so that you could see everything, is because my conclusion, somewhere between a Facebook update and the new Apple update, has messed up things with microphones. So the old iPad does not work at all for Facebook Live, but I can use it for regular videos. And the new iPad only works without microphones. And ask me how I know that. Because I did not try out 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4. I tried out 5. 5 different microphone sets, including one that just plugs in that's not even wireless. And every time it goes so I am very sorry if you cannot hear me. And I'm also sorry if Marlene loses hearing in her right ear, but I'm doing everything I can to make sure that you guys can hear us.
Gloria says she can hear you very well.
Perfect.
And Marlene, you can hear loud and clear.
And you want to know something
Loud
else?
and clear. Who said that?
Rebecca.
Not that any of you guys care about this, but in case you ever wondered, or you do Facebook, or you're questioning, I know that it's not the microphones because they work on regular videos. They just don't work on Facebook Live. And I know that it's something in combination with the new update, because I tried it on Lisa's Android yesterday and it worked with a microphone. However, the microphone was not any louder. So there's also an issue on the end of Facebook. I don't know what's happening. I hope that they get it situated, because having microphones is helpful, but we know that we need to be loud. And at least, remember back last summer, we would have it like so far away.
Yeah.
At least we're only like 3 feet away, so we're trying.
Everybody says they can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect, perfect.
Better get his act together.
Yeah, Mark, if you're watching, can you fix your app, please? Thank you. So I have a funny story, but you have a story. Would you like to share? You want to go first? Marlene is doing something this weekend, but she won't tell us, so she's telling all of us together.
I'm very excited what I'm doing tonight. I'm going to kitten yoga.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
So wait a minute. You did goat yoga and goat snowshoeing. Now you're doing kitten yoga.
Kitten yoga?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
I'm not a big fan of cats, but I do think kittens are super cute, so this would be interesting.
Kitten yoga.
Well, since we're talking about small creatures, I have 2 little stories to share with you guys. And it's not just about my little 2 creatures that live at home. My husband is convinced that all of the animals are losing their minds. Eric's convinced that the animals were enjoying the peace and quiet of the last year, and now they've all lost their minds. So that is his conclusion. So real quick, on Monday, when I was in here before the ladies got in, I was sitting here and I saw something move. Assumed maybe it was my hair in my eye because I didn't see anything. And when I got up, there's a chipmunk in the office. And I do not have any issues with chipmunks or squirrels. I don't like mice or snakes or frogs, but whatever. I was like, oh, there's a chipmunk. So we played a round of Tom and Jerry while I chased it around the office and then lost it and then tried to bait it out with Triscuits. Side note, chipmunks are not, they don't really like Triscuits enough to come out of hiding, but whatever. So if you have one, Triscuits don't work. So then it finally came out and it ran away. But wait, I have another fun story that I didn't tell you guys yet either. Are you ready for this? Can you handle this?
I don't know.
Okay.
Try us.
Okay. Side note, before I tell you this fun little story and then we get into the sewing part, because I know this has nothing to do with bag making. My entire life, I've watched all of those cute videos that go around of people and their fun animal friendships with wild animals. You know, the baby deer that comes up, the chipmunk that sits on their shoulder. I've always wanted one of those. And this week I came the closest that I've ever come in my entire life. Because not only did I have the chipmunk in the office on Monday, I was at my house by myself on, oh yeah, you're gonna love this, on Wednesday. Eric was not home yet. I finished what I was doing. I was in the bathroom washing my face, and my dogs were having a meltdown, but it wasn't their normal one. And I thought, is there a delivery person? Did Eric come home? But they sound weird. Their bark, you know your dogs, when they have different, their bark, their whine was weird. And I walk out of my bathroom and look, and directly in front of me, on the screen of my kitchen window, was a squirrel.
Oh, God.
On the screen. And at first, I thought it was a chipmunk because it looked reddish, but then it was small, and then it had a longer tail. So I'm 99% sure it was a squirrel, possibly a squirrel chipmunk mate. I don't know.
Get a picture?
Well, okay, so my first thought was get a picture, but my second one was, oh crap, the dogs. How do I get this out? The patio door is right here, and the chipmunk was on that window. So I'm like, I just need you to go that way. So what do I do? So I'm like, hey, squirrel chipmunk thing, where are you going? So it runs across my kitchen table and goes down the floor. The dogs are chasing it, and it's in my house underneath the TV stand.
Oh, no. And they can be so destructive.
Under my TV stand. So my dogs, 6 and 4. Roxy, I thought as a 6-year-old who spent her entire life wanting to hunt things, that she would be the hunter. No. Baby Zoe, my little baby, was like, I got this. I'll take care of it. So I stood there and thought, they probably have a better chance of catching it than I do. I'll let them get it. Zoe tried her hardest, and the dog is still very sad she did not catch it. She was halfway under the TV stand trying to wedge her chunky little COVID body underneath there and could not. It ran away and went in the backyard. But it didn't get out. It just started running in circles around the yard. So I shut the kitchen door because I didn't want it to come back in. The dogs chased it for a while. I couldn't find my phone to get a video of it. I don't know where my phone was. And it finally got out, and now I have 2 very, very sad little dogs because they keep looking for it because Zoe wants to murder it. So that has been my week, on top of a whole lot of other insanity. And microphone's not working, and I just... Welcome to my world. So, and Marlene's hanging out with kittens tonight. You know, it's... Yeah. You got any animal stuff this week, Barb?
No,
You good?
no,
Okay.
I'm good. I don't believe in it.
So if you believe anything my
2
husband
dogs are
says,
good.
be on the lookout for wild animals because he says they've all gone crazy. So that's where we're at. So let's talk about what we got in this week, and then we're going to talk about this one, my beautiful machine here, and feet, not feet, sewing machine feet. My feet need a pedicure. So first things first, we did get in the Aurifil, the rainbow variegated thread that I asked you guys about a little while ago. I just got small spools because I wanted to try it out because we've never had variegated. We've only had solid colors. So we have the 40 and the 28 weight. It's on the website. It is not exactly the same as that rainbow sewing string we talked about last week. It's a little bit less rainbow, but it's as rainbow as Aurifil gets. So Aurifil, if you're listening, we want more rainbow. We want more colors, but it's I Those are on the website.
What's his name? Alex?
Alex.
Listening
Alex.
at Aurifil.
Mr. Bellinelli.
Send me to Italy. I'll go talk to him and get
Done.
place the
Grab
order
my
in.
credit card, just
He's
go.
here usually.
Okay.
So I also added, well, it's not on the website yet, but it will be shortly because I ran out of time today. I got a couple of bolts of Shape Flex. And the reason is I personally don't use it because it's a very lightweight interfacing. It's a woven, it's a cotton-based interfacing. It is fusible. It's 20 inches wide. Yes, 20 inches wide. I ordered a couple of bolts of it because a lot of you guys have been asking for it and you use it. Barb and Shayna like it on t-shirt quilts. So there are multiple uses for it. Personally, it's not stiff enough for me, but if you want a lighter lining, like a lighter interfacing, or if you want to use it on like the Diva pockets, people like to use it on things like that I don't interface at all. If you like that, it's on there. It's sold by the half yard. It will be on there. I need to update after we get off of here.
You have
so
a name for it, SF101.
SF101.
Know it by that.
Yes. So Shape Flex SF101. They are both written and will be on the listing as soon as I get it up. We also got, and I forgot to tell anybody, because, you know, it's on the website. We got another bolt of Essex. This is Mocha, which is a light brown that almost reads like a purplish berry color.
Like a raspberry.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on what you put it next to. So next to browns and beiges, it's going to look more brown, but next to like, Marlene has a burgundy shirt on. From here, it's picking up on like that color.
Next to the gray, it does too.
Yeah, so I got a little bit more of that because I want all of the colors. We just don't have any room.
She just wants everything.
I want everything. And I love this one.
I like
we
it too.
got, there it is.
Bunny rabbits.
There's bunny rabbits and squirrels. Can you see the squirrel?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I
that
noticed
is
the
squirrel.
squirrels before.
I'll point them out
Because
if I
they're
can find
dark.
Black,
Yeah.
There they are. So there's the
and the
squirrels.
bunnies are white.
So it's like a warm charcoal gray with like a natural color on the animals.
Yeah.
It's really, really pretty. It's a reprint from Cotton and Steel that they had a while ago from the Wildwood line, and we have some other pieces from Wildwood. Not that they go with it because most of them are florals. I think, I forget which one is from Wildwood, but they had this and it came and went so quick and I never got any. So I decided when I saw it in stock that I was ordering some. And then I also, I ordered a gray and a black. I'm looking down and not talking to you, like you can read my mind. I got a gray, this is Shadow, and the black, which is Night Owl. And these are the closest thing to a solid canvas that Cotton and Steel makes. They have tiny little squares, like a little dot on it. It's as close to solid as they get. And the reason I got those is because I was very disappointed in the Robert Kaufman canvases. I expected them to be heavier. I did not think that they were going to be that much lighter than these canvases, and only like a slight bit heavier than the Essex linen. There's nothing wrong with them. They're a good product, but they're not what I was looking for. So unfortunately, unfortunately for me, good for you, they're on the pop-up sale page. They are extremely discounted because once they're gone, we're not selling them anymore. I did order these. I really like the weight. It's the same weight as the rest of the Cotton and Steel and RJR and Rifle Paper Company stuff. It's the same canvas. I think they had a couple more colors. I'll have to look, but if I'm reading it correctly, they do restock, so it's something that we can continue having, because I know that not everybody wants a flower or an animal. You know, some of you are making men's gifts or gifts for people that don't really like florally things. I'm very girly. I like the flowered stuff, but not everyone does. Plus, we have tons of printed cork. So if you're mixing this with the printed cork, at least you have that option. So those are all on the website. The SF101 Shape Flex will be on the website soon.
Charlie just said, be right back, running off to the pop-up sale.
So side note on that Robert Kaufman canvas. Because when you feel it, it does not feel different in your hands than Essex linen. I will say the one time that you can tell the difference in the weight is when you are adding it to a lining and sewing, doing that top stitching. I used it in a bag and it was thick on the top stitching, but when you feel it, like how many times have we had the conversation where we're like, this doesn't feel different? Like you can feel that there's a slight difference. And I tried to convince myself that it was good, and I'm just not happy with it. So I'll eat my hat on that one. It's fine. We're moving on. So it's unfortunate because they have more colors.
Not what you were looking
it's
for.
not what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. So that's where we're at with that. Couple other quick things before we get into our feet and sewing machine. The Sammy video is up. You guys have been loving that. If you haven't seen that yet, it is a free video on my YouTube channel. Because I've been adding so many more videos, I haven't been linking all of them on the website. So if you just go onto the YouTube channel, which there is an icon on the home page of the website, you can go on there and take a look at that. I am trying to get more patterns done with these free tutorials. And when it comes to a free tutorial, I'm not talking about measurements and sizes and going into extreme detail, because you do still have to buy the pattern. And that applies not, for all of those, unless it's like the boxy pouches, which that was just a free, I don't have a pattern for that. I just give you the measurements and I tell you step by step. So for the Sammy pattern, I might say we're on step 3, or I might say put your piece here or measure it this way. It's not detailed in that way because it's an addition to the pattern. So it's a free video, but you will need to purchase the pattern. So I just wanted to let you guys know that if you haven't watched it, I am trying to do more of those. It's just time always gets away from me and squirrels come in my house and distract me. And the retreats. Our summer retreat, which starts the end of next month, so it's July 31st through August 1st, we're almost halfway full on that one. So if you are interested, I would not wait too long. I would get on it as soon as you can. I did see a lot of familiar faces, but also some new names, so it's going to be exciting. And we have some signups for the fall already too, which I was a little surprised because it is, you know, it's not until September. But if you're interested, once they're full, they're full. So get on there and sign up before you forget. And it's probably, the listing will come down a few days before the retreat because obviously I send out goodie bags and I don't like to stress myself out any more than I already do on a normal day. So Barb and I had a question for you. Barb, we do not have prices and details yet for the in-person retreats, but be patient. They are coming.
Should be next week, yeah.
Hopefully next week we'll have them in case you didn't hear her. We're aiming for the January and the March. We have the opportunity to possibly add on some more at a different location. It's a venue that Barb has used.
The Queensberry?
Yes, or is it out?
The Queensberry is out for next year because they're going to be renovating the room.
I lied. We just have the two.
I just found out. I just found out.
Okay.
Yep.
We were trying to see if we could add some others on.
They
But
wanted to know if we might be interested in midweek in the fall.
so I don't know which ones of you are interested in coming to New York and coming to the actual physical in-person retreats. If we are able to add on other weekend, like it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right, for the for Lake George.
Yes.
If we are able to add any more of those on, we obviously will. We have to see. It's Barb's schedule, my schedule, the hotel. I mean, they're the bottom line. If they don't have room for us, they don't have room.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we live in a touristy area, so once April rolls around, weddings start, and then once the summer comes, hotel rooms get booked super quick and the prices skyrocket.
Right.
They double, triple sometimes. It's insane. So we have to kind of go winter or we have to go fall, and also based around weddings. They're always going to take a wedding before us because they're going to make more money at weddings than they are at a retreat. So we're doing everything we can to get additional dates. We do have an opportunity to maybe add some on, but they would be weekday. Would it be Monday through Wednesday?
I usually do it. What do I do? Monday through Wednesday?
I don't remember.
So let's just say it's Monday through Wednesday.
Yeah.
Does
Or
that
Tuesday
appeal
through
to anybody?
Thursday, either one.
I don't have I don't have a job. I mean, I don't have the I really don't. I don't have
many jobs.
I don't have a job that has a vacation schedule where I have to ask for time off. I don't know if any of you watching that are interested in retreats have that kind of job where you're limited, or if you don't work, or if you're retired, or if you just don't care. And I don't know. So I know that taking a Friday off is a lot different than having to take 3 days off or maybe 4. So tell us because we're not going to set them up if you're not interested, but if there's enough interest, then we'll pursue it and see if we can do some of these early week retreats.
Got two
But
so far that said yes.
okay. So that is all. That's it. We're done. No. So what I wanted to talk about today is 2 things. I want to talk about the sewing machine feet that I use all the time on my domestic, which I did not bring here today. I just brought the feet. And I also brought the box of feet that this machine came with. But I also want to talk about this machine. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, that's the other Janome, the high-end Janome.
Yes.
Top of the
So
line. Okay.
this box,
That explains
this
it.
box is for the 15,000. It's between my legs.
Okay.
You don't want to get it.
Oh, Jesus.
Listen, I don't know what else you're into, but anyway, so that is for my domestic, but it's a high-end domestic, so it comes with a ton of accessories. I'm not going to get into all of those, but I'm going to go over the bag of feet that I use pretty much on a daily basis that I will switch back and forth from. But today, I want to start our conversation with my HD9. The reason is, I had a lot of people ask me about this machine on Facebook, on YouTube. I've gotten a lot of emails about it. I've had people buy them because of me, which is really crazy. Janome, that's where they came from, so you know. So I wanted to talk about this machine. I'm not going to go through everything that it does and all that. If that's something you want, we'll do that in another video. but I want to show you some of the feet that I use, talk about some of the functions, why I like this machine for bag making, and I also have a couple of sources for you if you're looking for like feet and things like that. So what I just want to say first is that I do represent Janome. I have a contract with them. I work with them as what they call a maker. And what that means is that 15,000, the machine that I did not bring today, I have that kind of on loan in exchange for posts and, you know, different things that I do for them. I get a machine, but I promote that machine. I started this relationship after I'd already sewn on Janomes for many years, so I already liked the machine. I did not jump into this and say, I hope it's a good machine. I already knew that they were. I knew they were a good company and that I wanted to work with. I understand that not all of you own Janomes. That's okay. But because I am a representative of Janome, I will always talk about them. I will always promote their products because I like them and because I work with them. I am not a paid employee. I just want to make sure that that's clear. I don't get a paycheck from Janome. It is a different kind of a program that I am a part of. Real brief story on how it happened. Many years ago, in the early stages of pattern making, I worked for a very short time at a quilt shop that sold Janomes. I was in the market for a new machine because I did not like the one that I had. Not that I didn't like the machine, I didn't like the service. And service is something that's going to be big if you're buying a machine. I was having issues with the service. We were actually talking about it at the retreat about how poor the service for that brand was in our area. So I worked there and I thought, well, I'm working here, I'll get a Janome, and I fell in love with it. I sewed on a few, I bought one, I loved it. I currently own either 5 or 6, I don't know. And that's not including other machines. I own several Janomes. And then I fell into this program because I got to know them through going to shows and market and stuff like that. So I do represent their company. I am not an employee. So I'm just letting you know that. The HD9 that I'm going to talk about today, I purchased on my own. I bought this with my own money. I brought it home. It's mine. It 100% belongs to me. I bought it at a show. I happened to be at Quilt Festival in October of 2019. That's how long I've had this machine, so it's going on 2 years. I used it because I broke something in my booth and I wanted to fix it, and they said sure, and they just happened to have this one threaded with the right color thread, so I tried it out and I fell in love with it. And the reason I fell in love with it is because for bag making, this machine is it. My 15,000 is awesome. My 15,000 is an amazing machine, but it is a domestic. This is more of an industrial machine. This is more made for that high speed, thick layers, and what we make with bag making. One of the things that the salesperson told me was that this machine can sew like 12 layers of leather. I don't know why I would ever need to do that. I will never, as far as I know, be doing that, but it was a sales feature. So some of the things about this machine, I'm gonna tell you what I love and what I don't love. I'll start with what I don't love. Number one, it weighs like 34 pounds. It's not a light machine. My 15,000 is not light either. No. So if you're looking for something to take wherever you travel back and forth, I don't know why you need to carry a machine constantly, but if you're looking for something easy to move, it's a heavy machine. If that's too much for you, I'm just letting you know. This machine typically just stays at home, and it's heavy. It's a full metal heavy machine. It doesn't have a free arm. That is probably the big complaint that I have. Because of the style of machine that it is, yes, it just got really hot in here. Really hot. Turn the fan or the air on, whatever you want.
It got really hot.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Well, because we shut all the doors, so there's like no air circulation.
That's because Eric walked through.
Well, I mean, he is quite hot. It doesn't have a free arm. So the issue with that is it can be a little hard with top stitching. It depends on what bag you're top stitching. Because some bags are going to be easier, smaller bags can be kind of a pain in the butt. That's one thing, but because of the style of machine, it's not an option to do a free arm. There's ways around it, trust me. There's always a way around everything. What was the other thing that I didn't love about this machine? Because there's not a lot. Threading it takes a little getting used to because it's not like your regular machine, but that's not a bad thing. It does have a side or a front load bobbin, which again, you kind of have to get used to that. There was one other little thing that I complained about this machine. I don't remember what it was. It obviously wasn't a big deal. The free arm is the big thing, the weight of it. Did I write it down?
I don't know.
No, I didn't.
Charlie does have a question.
Yes.
But Well, he says shows always have deals, but are they really better than what you get from a dealer? Or do you need to really know your prices first?
That's a really great question, and I can't give you a concrete answer, but this is what I have found. If you go on any machine website, they're always going to give you the MSRP, which is not what your dealers sell it for. So when you look on Janome, this has an MSRP of $2,300. That is not what your dealer is selling it for. Most of the time, your dealer is going to give you obviously a much better price, and a lot of times, depending on promotions going on either within the store or within Janome, you get extra things added in. So for instance, I bought this at a show. If I remember correctly, and don't quote me on it, it was almost 2 years ago, I believe I paid $1,400 for a brand new out of the box. They had a deal on one that was the floor model, and it was a couple $100 less, so of course I was like, well, I'm gonna buy the floor model, and then I thought, nah, I want a brand new box, I want my own machine that no one's touched except for me. For the money that I paid, I also got 2 packages that came with it. They gave me a leather package with some feet and some tools, and they gave me another package of some additional feet. I have found that what happens at shows a lot is if that dealer is a classroom sponsor, they have a ton of machines that are being used in a classroom, and they will usually give you an amazing deal because they don't want to pack them back up and send them home. They want to give them to you. So those times I find that they will give you an incredible deal. If you're going to a dealer, you might have a machine to trade in, they might have something going on. So I do find that the prices can be comparable, but the most that you will usually get at a show is because they're trying to not take that inventory home and they're trying to move classroom additions. That's usually when they have crazy deals that I have found. So I don't think that you're hurting yourself going to a dealer versus a show. The thing to know about a show, you're not going to get as much attention because it depends on how busy they are. You might not be able to get all those answers. And super important, regardless of what you buy, make sure you have a dealer in your area that can service it, that can get you things that you need. So here's the circumstance that I'm in right now. I have an amazing sewing machine rep that's about an hour north. He can clean this machine. He knows how to clean it. He's great. He's a great guy. Problem is, he's not a Janome dealer. So if something breaks on this, he can't get me parts because it is for the dealers. He's a dealer of other machines. He has long arms. He has a couple other brands, but he isn't a Janome dealer. He is their long arm dealer. But he does an unbelievable job of cleaning my machines, and he will also make one-day appointments. So he's awesome. I drop it off, I go visit my mom, I'm done. Here's what I have for Janome dealers in my area, and I know a lot of you are probably thinking, I have the same problem. I have 2 of them that are an hour from me in different directions. I will not give either of them my business. I'm sorry to say this, but they are not nice people, and I don't agree with their business ethics, and I will not give them my business. It's just how I feel. And it's how a lot of people in our area feel. So I'm not going to give them anything. I won't give them a dime. I didn't buy any of my machines from them. The one that is super close to me, like I can walk to their shop. It's like a mile from my house. They're very good at service. They have an amazing service technician. He does a really good job. He's cleaned all of my Janomes. He's great. If I need parts, he can get it. The salespeople are not the friendliest. And they also carry other brands that they would much rather promote. So when it comes to Janome, if I have a Janome question, they usually don't have an answer for me. So I'm very fortunate that I have ties directly to Janome that I can get answers from. And they also have a great website. Their website is awesome. If you've never looked on it, they have a ton of features on there. So if I need it cleaned, I have a dealer. If I need parts, I have a dealer. If I need a lesson, that can be a little tricky. So check where you are and who your dealers are, that you are going to have someone that can, first of all, service is number one, but also what if you break something? You don't want to know that the person you need to get to is 5 hours from your house. Yeah. So, just kind of things to keep in mind. There's been a lot of conversation on some of the other groups that I'm in. I'm in some sewing machine and some quilting groups and even some Janome groups. And it really surprises me in a Janome group that people talk about other machines, but whatever. I'm very confused by that, but it's okay. But there's been a lot of chatter about, well, I'm just gonna buy it on Amazon. That's fine, if that's what you wanna do. But where are you getting it serviced? Because you can't sew in this machine forever and not have it cleaned. You have to have someone that can take care of it for you. It's not an issue of, most dealers, I'm not gonna say all, they're not gonna care where you bought it from most of the time. There's two that I'm thinking of that will. Most of the time, that shouldn't be the concern. They might have to charge you differently. They might not give you free lessons, but do you have someone near you that can service that machine that you bought? That's always number one. I will admit, I do have a Janome that I purchased on Amazon. Why? Because I already knew the brand, I already knew what I was looking for, and I knew that I had someone that can service it. So instead of going and shopping, I knew what I wanted, I bought it on Amazon. When you look online, you're not going to find a ton of options, because machines like this, machines like the 15,000, they are dealer only machines. You might go online and see an MSRP, which is not accurate, and you might see on there it says you must see a local dealer. That's just, it's protecting the dealers, but it's also protecting you from knowing what you're buying and going in and trying out a machine. So now that things are opening and you can, if you're looking for a machine, go try some out. Make an appointment if you have to.
Don't you find that on the high-end machines that you can't buy them online lots of times? The higher end.
What was explained to me when I worked at a dealership at like 12 plus years ago was that as things cycle through and something gets replaced with a different machine, for instance, I have a 7700, they don't make it anymore. It's gone, it's obsolete. They've replaced it with a couple of others. They replace it, they upgrade it, they do new things. Those machines kind of fall aside and they become an internet machine. That's the kind of machine you find online. This is something that I was told by the Janome dealer. I don't know if it's still their practice or if it applies to other machine dealers. But if it's new, and yeah, a lot of the higher ends, but especially if it's newer, you're not gonna go online and buy it. And a lot of times you can't call the dealer and get a price because they want you to come in. They don't know who you are. They want you to come in and shop. So let me,
I know I've looked at a couple of Horizons online, and that Sewing Machines Plus is a place that has tons of machines, and they always say you have to call for a price or you have to come in.
Exactly. So before I go through some of the things in this machine, I do have a couple of sources for you. I was talking about this in my Diva class on Tuesday because they had said, is there like a good place that you can get things when you need it? And I will give you a couple of sources that I personally have found. I have ordered from these websites, so I'm giving that information to you. And then we'll talk more about like the logistics of everything. I have ordered from sewingmachinesplus.com. Barbara's shaking her head. She's familiar with it as well. And I've also ordered from sewingpartsonline.com. Going back to the conversation we just had, I did not order machines from them. That's not what I mean. I can get the spool pins. I can get the toppers, a bobbin case. I might get a basic foot. They're gonna have those bits and pieces. I'm not gonna go on there and buy a spring that I broke inside my bobbin case. That's for a dealer. That's not what I mean. This is like the basic stuff, you know, you lose a screw that you need for your foot, or you need something really basic. Be aware when you buy at these online shops, they do sell multiple brands, and some of the things that they sell are generic. So you might look up, I have a Janome 8900, and here's a foot that comes up, but it's not a Janome foot, it's a generic foot. Just make sure that you know what you're buying. And here, these are words directly from my contact at Janome, because I asked her, can I give this information out and talk about it? If I have some feet here that are not Janome feet, can I talk about them? And what I need to tell you before I talk about them, and I'll let you know which ones are Janome and which are generic. They are an aftermarket foot. They are not made or tested by Janome. Your machine's warranty will not cover any service or repair issue resulting from using it. So basically, if you buy a foot and you break something on your machine because you're using an aftermarket part, just know that it is not going to be covered under your warranty. But I'm going to tell you which ones I have used and had excellent luck with, and I bought them because Janome doesn't make them. Maybe they will someday, you know, wink, wink. But as of right now, they don't make them, so I went and bought them. My other favorite website to shop from, and I know that a lot of you know this, and I know that you guys know it, is Wawak. W-A-W-A-K. Please, for the love of kittens, change the name of your website. It's the hardest thing to say. Wawak. It's Wawak, whatever it is. It sounds like I have a really
with Wawa grocery store.
It sounds like I have a really bad accent. Like it's Wawak. You know it. You've all shopped there. I know you have. So let me show you what this machine came with, which is really basic. These feet. That's it. So then I have a bunch of other feet that I purchased, and some are generic, and I'll show you. So just a couple of things about this machine in general. I wrote down some stuff because I wanted to compare them. If you go on Janome.com and you're torn between two machines, or maybe you have one at home and you also are looking at one, they do have a comparison little app or screen where you can put in machines. So I compared this one to my 15,000. They are like apples to oranges. They're not. One is a domestic that has an embroidery unit. This is a straight stitch. So just to give you an idea of how this differs from a domestic machine, I told you it weighs 31 pounds. I think that one weighs 34. They're both heavy. This machine does 1,600 stitches per minute. It can do up to it. It does have the speed bar on the front, the control. The 15,000 does 400 to 1,000. So 1,000, it's its max, and that's on embroidery. So just keep that in mind. 1,600 stitches per minute.
It's like the long arm.
It's, yeah, what's your long arm? Is that?
The Avante is about 15 or 1,600. I forget what mine is.
So this thing is moving at the speed of a long arm. And I will sew something for you so you can hear it, because it's like, it's fast. This is a straight stitch machine. The other machine I have is a 9mm, so that means it has a maximum of 9mm that I can move my needle. So that's obviously going to do decorative and zigzag and all that. This machine's not. This is as basic as it comes. It's not computerized. It goes forward and backward. That's it. So when you look online, how many stitches does the HD9 have? One. Straight. That's it. That's your option. There's 510 built in on the 15,000. How many have I used? Like 4. So yeah. I'm just saying. This is a high shank machine. That is a snap-on foot. I'll show you the difference. This is a maximum of 6mm, so I can do up to 6mm in length. That one is 5mm, pretty close. And obviously this is a domestic. It is a very high-end domestic, but it's still a domestic like Barb's and Marlene's. I said your names wrong. I know who you are. That is Marlene. That is Barb. We've worked together long enough. I'm 90% sure I know who they are. This is a high-speed straight stitch machine. So basics on this machine, and my head's gonna get cut off, but that's okay. This one does not have spool caps and fancy places to put my spools. They're right back here. They're built in. There's 2 spots. I usually have an extra spool of thread that I just leave on here sitting. Here's your little thread guide. So that comes up. It's pushed down because it was in my way. It does have a bobbin winder that's independent, so I can sew and wind a bobbin, because that's why there's 2 spools here. The threading is really basic, but it's very different from your regular machines. I'm doing this backwards, remember.
And they can see you.
They can?
So don't make any weird faces.
Oh, they can still see my face? Woo. So you're gonna thread, and here's the thing with this machine that can really can throw you off. Over here, there's these 3 little holes. So you have to loop through the holes. Not the center one. I don't know what the center one's for. You only loop through 2 of them. You have to make sure you don't get a knot here, because it can very easily overlap itself. You ever do that on your machine, on your needle, and you're like, why does it keep breaking? Be careful. There's also a tension disc right here, and it doesn't look like much from the front. So you have to make sure your thread is in those tension discs, otherwise it doesn't work.
Floss it.
Floss it, exactly.
Floss it.
That's what we say to get it.
Oh, yes,
all the way
yes.
in the tension discs.
But from the front, sometimes it doesn't look like there's anything there. It just looks like a disc. Yeah. There is 2, so you have to make sure it's in there. And then you have a little bit of threading here, and you come up to your needle here, and then take it down. Right here on the side, there's 2 little diagrams. One is for regular weight thread, and one is for heavy thread. This is how mine is always threaded, which is kind of in between both. It's more towards the heavy. I am using 40 weight. I do not use anything less than 40 weight on this machine. And I will tell you why. Because my 50 weight Aurifil was not happy on this machine. I had a lot of breakage when I went too fast. It's a fast machine. It wants a heavy duty thread. I don't like polyester. We've talked about that. I have issues with it. That rainbow string, it is a polyester, but it's the only exception I have made so far. This machine can take 28 weight. I have a lot of issues, but that's why you're here. Now I have additional issues with wild animals, so, you know, what are you gonna do? I use 40 or I will use 28. I have put 28 in my bobbin without an issue, because this machine can take it. That sewing string, I did use it in my 15,000 with a 50 weight in the bobbin, and it was fine, but I don't stitch super fast and I make sure I have a big needle. This one can take it because it wants a heavy thread, so it's totally fine with that. Your wheel is right here to lift up your needle. This is your reverse, which is the funniest thing ever because it's such a huge lever.
really is.
I have no idea why it's so big. And this right here is your stitch length. It's the easiest stitch length ever to change.
Yeah, really.
That's it. It's almost barbaric when you compare this to your computerized machine at home. You feel like in a way you've gone backwards because you're like, where's all the fancy buttons? But this machine only has one job and it does it so well that you don't miss those fancy buttons. The bobbin is over on the side. It's called a front load, but to me I always call it a side load because that's the side of the machine where your Bernina is actually in the front.
Correct.
So I just call it the side, but it's a front load bobbin. And it came with its little accessory box full of all the stuff that you guys have. It does have spool caps that I never use. It came with needles, screwdriver. Most important screwdriver of your life because that's how you change your feet, and I'll show you the feet in a minute. And actually I have 2 screwdrivers in here for who knows what reason. One thing I love about this machine is the bobbin. So here is the HD9 bobbin. That's my 15,000 bobbin. It's huge.
bobbin.
I love the size of this bobbin. So I don't run out as fast, which is always helpful.
Is that considered an M?
I don't know. Look at you throwing out these technical questions.
Well, the long arms use an M bobbin. And
It could
the
be.
domestics use an L. Those
This
are-
is almost closer to a long arm than it is to
Yeah,
a
it looks
domestic
like-
in a lot of
It does
ways.
look like one.
So this machine came with my favorite foot, which is this little skinny foot, which they just call a standard foot. That's it. There's no fancy name. It's standard foot. So it came with this. I love this foot. It gives you a scant 1/4 of an inch. It's not a full 1/4 of an inch, but it's skinny and it goes around corners on curved things so well. And it also came with a rolled hem foot. I have no idea why I would ever need that because I don't make clothing. But I have used this for top stitching because if you use the little groove underneath, it gives you an 1/8 inch. But that wasn't doing it for me. So I needed to find something better for top stitching. So I did. I went to our friends at Wawak. It's like that Aflac commercial. It's Wawak. So
They're going to be hiring you. to do
no, I'm
commercials
gonna
pretty
get
soon.
banned now. You can't talk about an insurance company. So I went on to Wawak, wherever you want to say it. Whatever. Walmart. No, it's not Walmart. So I bought a couple of feet that I love. And I forgot about them because I bought them and I put them away. I saw them on an Instagram post and I was like, I need that. And then I forgot about them. And then the lovely Cheryl Taylor said to me, what about your compensating foot? Did you ever try one? And I was like, man, I have one of those. I gotta go find
What's
it.
it called?
It's called a compensating foot.
Is that the one that's
The
higher
reason
on one
is
side?
there is a spring. I don't know which way to hold this to show you. There's a spring. So you see how it
Oh,
lifts
yeah.
up?
Yeah.
It compensates for your thickness. So this
Wow.
is an 1/8 inch. Can you see that okay?
Huh.
Barb's gonna be delayed for 10 seconds, but maybe she'll tell me. Is that good? Should I hold it closer?
You can pretty
See
you
it?
can
Okay.
Yeah.
This one is the 1/4 of an inch. So I bought them both. I don't use the 1/4 of an inch as much because we always have tons of options for 1/4 of an inch. We'd never do for 1/8 inch. This one for top stitching was awesome. And you wanna know what the best part about this foot is? It was $4.95. Yeah, so
Yeah,
run
awesome.
and buy them. I might have gotten it on sale because the ones I bought earlier this week were $7.95.
Oh
Super
my gosh.
pricey.
Broke
They're
the
just
bank.
price gouging. But that's the thing I do like about
Aftermarket.
them is that I hate saying the name Wawak, is that they are really reasonably priced and quick. I ordered these feet that I did not see the first time. They came in 2 days. So these are little edge feet. I got 1/8 inch left and right, and you see that little guide right there? So I can line up my fabric and also do top stitching with these, and I really like those too. So those are all in the bargain bin from Wawak. And when you go on the website, you can just put in, you can search high shank, you can put in HD9, you can search compensating foot or edge foot. There's a ton of options, but if you put in high shank, it will give you all of the options that they have. They are not Janome feet. They are not warranted. They are generic feet. I don't know who makes them. I don't know if it's a Wawak thing, but it's a generic foot. So just be aware of that. but I use those feet a ton and I absolutely love them. And thank you again, Cheryl, for reminding me that I bought things that I forgot about. Here's one thing. Oh, this was the thing that probably my smallest complaint about this machine. The feet don't snap off. You have to screw them on. And I know, first world problems, but you know, when you're switching back and forth, you're like, take it off, put it on, take it off. Where with this kind of a foot, it's a snap-on foot. You touch the back and it snaps on and snaps off.
I bet you it's because of the speed.
It is, and it's because of the type of machine. It's a high shank. So all of these feet, you have to screw on. They don't come with screws. That's just, don't think you got something wrong if you get it in and you're like, where's the screw? The screw is part of your machine. So you just have to slip it on and screw it in place. The machine obviously doesn't move to left to right. So what I did was I bought myself the foot that I love from my domestic, which was a stitch in the ditch foot, because it didn't come in my little box there. And I was like, well, I'm going to get myself a stitch in the ditch foot. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because you can't move your needle over. And so your needle is right next to it, so you don't get that 1/8 of an inch that I use it for. So that was a bummer. I did get the Teflon foot as part of the package that came with this machine at the show. This did not come with the machine, but I got it. I've never used it. I know how to use a Teflon foot, but cork doesn't stick. So I've never used it, so it's brand new, it sits in the box. And I also got a walking foot as part of the package. Walking feet are typically expensive. It did not come with the machine. I also have not used that. So it's a brand new, pretty walking foot that I've never used. So that's kind of the basics of this, but before I talk about the other domestic feet, I'm gonna put one on here and you can listen to how fast this thing sews, because I love it. I love how loud it is. And I brought it to a retreat a while back, and I was sitting next to Bonnie and Lisa, and Bonnie goes, wow, listen to that thing go. So you are going to watch me sew backwards. It's going to be a feat. Just wait.
That's just like
No
putting
pun
your foot
intended.
on-
No pun intended. And I cannot put the foot on backwards, so hang on.
It's like putting it on the long arm.
Exactly. And come on now. I gotta get this out of my way. This is really not easy to do backwards. There
How
we
is
go.
Wawak spelled? Is it W-A?
W-A-W-A-K.
Okay.
Alright, there we go. Trust me, it's not that hard when you're sitting in front of it, but when you're trying to do it backwards on camera while you're sweating. There we go. Come on. Okay, so that's on. So, grab a little piece of cork here. And my speed is all the way up, as it always is, because I sew fast. I am dangerous. So we're gonna put this in here. Good. It does have needle down. I always sew with needle down. If you don't sew with needle down, may I ask why? Because I always do. This machine also comes with a knee lift, which I did not bring, but I always use that as well. So, you know, that's just a little fast. Then there's, it's fast. And I did great sewing from the back. But here's the only thing that might scare you. All right, the scissor, where is the scissors?
Right here.
I can't see anything. It's loud. And it probably doesn't sound as loud on camera. I'm still trying to reach around the back, and I am in the back. But the scissors on most of your machines are very quiet. It snips quietly. This one, because of the machine, it's like, so don't be alarmed. Don't think that you've done anything wrong. The first time I used it, I thought I broke it. I didn't realize that that's how loud it is. So that is my HD9. It's my favorite bag making machine. I still use my 15,000 all the time because of the embroidery and everything else. So let's talk about domestics for a minute. Any of your domestic machines are gonna come with some feet, but it all depends on what machine you get. Some of them come with tons of feet, some of them don't. What I have is a very high-end machine, and for the price that it is listed for, you get a box
Like
of
an overnight piece.
this is ridiculous. I have not used and probably never will use half of what's in here. But this machine, and this has nothing to do with the embroidery unit. The embroidery unit is separate, so this has nothing to do with that. That's a whole other, that was its own box. This has trays of feet. It also has 3 needle plates. It comes with magnifying glasses.
Kinda nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
you
a nice setup.
it has magnifying glasses. It has there's quilting feet, and then down here is like some extra, like the buttonhole foot and a bunch of other big stuff. I don't get down to tray 3 very much because I don't do that kind of stuff. I stay on tray 1. This thing is so crazy, and I have no idea why this comes off, but it does. It's
anything
padded.
behind it?
No, I don't know. It's like a little extra padding if you need it.
Yeah.
So out of all of the feet that it comes with, and there's so many of them, I use a handful of them, and I really only switch back and forth between them. So unrelated to bag making is the P foot, which is for embroidery. So it's this little one, this little like cup shaped one. This is one of the only, actually this is the only foot I use on this domestic machine that I have to unscrew. It has its own shank, so you have to take it off. You don't snap the foot off. That's the only one. There are other ones that you have to, but I don't use them most of the time. I have a couple of 1/4-inch feet. I have this one, which is plastic, that has the hole in the middle. And I also have this one, which is metal, and they both have a guide. So if you can see that, there's a guide. I always sew with a guide. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
You guys don't, and I
don't,
always
yeah.
do. So if I don't want that, I can also use my clear foot to do 1/4 inch, but I bounce back and forth between these two. And the only reason that this one is, it's closer to my favorite, but here's my beef with this foot. It's plastic, and when the foot lifts up, it kind of like wobbles a little because it doesn't have any weight to it, so I have to like really be careful about lining it up. But because it has a center hole, lazy me doesn't have to scroll through as many screens to get to where I need to be. This one though, it's very weighty. It holds the fabric in place, but can you see how wide it is here? It gets in the way with certain pockets and zippers. So I do go back and forth between them depending on what I'm putting in. And yes, I said zippers because I use my 1/4-inch foot for zippers, because that's how I sew. I also do use my zipper foot. It depends on what I'm doing, depends on what what I'm looking for. I do use the zipper foot, not as much as the 1/4 inch, but I use it quite a bit. I use my clear foot because I can see through it. So if I am doing any kind of quilting, paper piecing, I use this. Sometimes I'll use it on bags depending on what I'm doing, but I use this more for like anything decorative because it has that opening here, because we need that so we don't break any needles. And my, what is this one? The G, I always forget. This is the blind hem foot, which has the guide in the middle. That's my 1/8 inch foot. That's how I do 1/8 inch top stitching on my domestic. And I've talked to you guys about this before. If you have a blind hem, or you have a stitch in the ditch, or you have an edge joining foot, everyone's a little bit different. Your stitch in the ditch, the guide is usually longer because it's supposed to go in the seam. But the blind hem and the edge joining foot can look similar. All of your machines will have this as an option. It just, they'll call it different. If you move your needle as far left as it goes, you can do a beautiful 1/8 inch stitch with this foot. The downfall of this foot is you can't see through it, so sometimes on curved pieces, it's great on handles. Curved pieces, sometimes you have to go real slow and like really guide it. That's why I like this one with the compensating foot. So maybe if I can get a compensating foot for both.
There you go.
If Janome makes those, that would be great. Some of the other feet that come with this machine, because somebody had asked about like the weird feet that you never know what they are. I mean, and there's so many. It's so hard to go through all of them. Majority of the feet in this box, I don't use because I don't need them. A lot of these are going to be for quilting and for clothing. I am not going to use this darning foot. That's not something that I do. Right. I know people that have similar quilting feet. They look similar, but I also don't do free motion quilting. It scares the bejesus out of me. There's also this foot, which is always a mystery. Nobody knows what this foot is. You know what it is? Sometimes they have a brush on it, which really confuses everybody. It has like the little bristles.
It's not a cleaning foot.
It's not a cleaning foot. It's an overcast foot.
Oh.
You use this foot when you are sewing the edge of a piece of fabric, and imagine what a serger can do, but on a lesser less than that without the cutting part on a machine. It's kind of like the closest thing you can do without a serger. So it's an overcast
brush
foot.
to help with
The brush helps to move the fabric. Some of them have it, some of them don't. This one doesn't. It just has a guide, and it has these little prongs here because that's where your thread goes around to do your edge. So that's what that little weird foot is, in case you ever wanted to know. Who is calling? It's my sister. My sister's calling me. I just bounced her to voicemail. Sorry, Em. I'm very busy. There's, of course, this thing that I'm never going to use for quilting. This, a lot of people call it a hopping foot because it has a spring in it. Everybody calls it different, a quilting foot, a free motion foot, but I've always called it a hopping foot because of the spring. So that's, you might get one of those at your machine. You might have to buy it separately. It depends. And is it this little one? Yeah, this little doohickey here. Anyone know what this is?
No.
This is an invisible zipper foot.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it's short
see
and
that.
chunky and has a little
Yeah,
prong
like
in the
me,
middle
short and
and
chunky.
weird. But that's what it is. It's for an invisible zipper. And I don't use invisible zippers in bags. I don't like them. I don't like them at all.
Yeah.
So that's the Z foot.
Do you have a couching foot?
I'm sure I do on the other layers. We're not going to get deep into those. One thing I do love about Janome's, not this one. This one is basic. She's basic. She does a regular walking foot. I don't like these things. They're a pain to put on, and they're
Yes, they
weird
are.
and awkward, and I don't like them.
They're huge.
But wait, but wait. All of the companies are doing their own version of this. Janome's is called the AccuFeed system. And what that is, and this machine in particular comes with two of them. AccuFeed is their version of a walking foot, but it's easier to use. It's so much easier because you can see through them and you can do a 1/4 of an inch and you can do all the things that you want. And the whole point, if you don't know, in case you're unaware, a walking foot is meant to guide your fabric on the top and the bottom through at the same speed. Normally with your machine, your feed dogs, which are on the bottom, they're doing all the work. They're moving everything through. If you were in my class on Tuesday, or if you've taken classes with me, or read any of the patterns where I've said, if you have an interface piece and a non-interface piece, put the interface piece on top, because the feed dogs will feed through the extra thickness or the extra bulk. It'll make sure that your seams are flat. If you flip it over and your fabric's on top and your interface to stiffer pieces on the bottom, your fabric's gonna stretch because the foot on top is just pushing and just holding. The feed dogs are pulling. An AccuFeed system or a walking foot gives you the dual feed. It moves it through at the same time. So you can see it on this one better. This is the single one. So there's that little grip right there that pushes your fabric. This one is a wider one. They do the same job. They're just, it's a single and a double. It has nothing to do with needles. It's only the AccuFeed system. And with that system, they have other feet that you can put on. And I've always liked that because the whole principle behind a walking foot makes sense and it's an amazing foot, but I can't be accurate with it. I'm going off of whatever is on here. And all those little lines on the machine that you can follow, I don't do that. I'm not good at that. My eyeballs don't work that way. That's why I use the guide. That's why I need a guide. You two not using a guide still blows my mind. Still, because I can't. I need to know where I'm supposed to stop. I can't focus.
I use it once in a while, but not.
And I feel like
regularly,
I
no.
can't live without it.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah.
I can't. I can't. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other weirdo feet. This is another zipper foot that goes on here. And what else do we have? What's this little thing over here? Oh, here's my 1/4 inch foot without a guide. So it's the same thing. Here you go. This is for you, not for me. And then bobbins, and then a whole bunch of other stuff down there we're not even going to get into. So I hope that answered questions on the HD9, and I hope that made sense on what this is in comparison to a domestic machine. In my house, the way that I have things set up, I do not have a quilting room. I do not have a sewing room. I used to. I got kicked out of it. I don't have one anymore because our house is still under construction 75 years later. I'm going to die in that house without having walls up. It's fine. So I got kicked out when they started construction, and I now sit in my living room. I have 2 4-foot tables back to back, so they're like 20 or 24 inches deep. I have this machine on one side and I have the 15,000 on the other side, back to back. So if I'm embroidering, I can still sew. If I'm sewing on here and I need to top stitch, I jump over there. And that's how I do everything. I keep all my feet separate. I don't open this box a lot. It sits on the floor because there's a lot of stuff in there I don't need. And I know I should use these feet more, but I don't because I'm lazy. I use these feet.
A question, but I don't think you'll be able to answer it.
I will try.
Well, this is a test.
Oh boy.
Can you get an AccuFeed for a Juki Industrial?
AccuFeed is the Janome system. So it wouldn't necessarily be called that. For a Juki Industrial that's going to be similar to this, can you get a walking foot? I'm sure that you can. Remember, these basic machines have basic feet, but I'm sure that you can. What I would do is go on either Sewing Machines Plus, I'll make sure I say them right. Try Sewing Machines Plus or Sewing Parts Online or Warwick. And if you don't see the information, give them a call and just say, this is the brand that I have and I'm looking for a walking foot. What options do you have? And then you can look on the website and see. Most machines, I have not seen a machine in general that doesn't have a walking foot option, but it will all be called something different depending on what it is. You have a Bernina.
Yes.
And what do they have a name, don't they? Don't they call it something? They have like their own system. You have a FOF. They have a different name.
It's the IDT system.
Right.
Or it's a built-in walking foot.
So AccuFeed is the Janome brand of a walking foot. It's their name that they came up with. So don't search AccuFeed unless you're looking for a Janome. Search walking foot or dual feed foot. Something along those lines would help you more for a Juki or a different machine.
Or as Charlie says, call your Juki dealer.
Or call you, which I honestly have not seen a Juki dealer anywhere in our area. Like we can find Bernina, Viking, Janome. I have not seen anyone that's a Juki dealer.
Did I say Casey?
Oh, maybe. There might be one in
I haven't
Saratoga.
been in there in forever.
I don't know. We're a bunch of snots and we only go to certain places. But I can say that because they're not watching. So if Bill and Shannon or Lisa, Bonnie, and Pat are watching, that's where we go.
That's right.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if your group, people, want to come to a retreat and they're coming from far, get machines, why don't you call your contact at Janome and get a whole bunch of those and then...
Well, it all depends on
Maybe
how
you
we
could get
set
a
that
deal,
up.
like how many people want to buy one
We
or try
might.
them
Nothing is out of the question. I don't
Like-
have that
like
information.
the classroom thing, try the
Right.
machines.
You never know. You never know. And I don't know if anyone from Janome is watching. I have no idea. But I do talk to them on a regular basis. So don't think that we're not already talking about this. I just don't have answers for you yet.
Okay.
But yeah, it's, nothing is out of the question. This is one of the things that is a benefit of me having a relationship with them. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying you're getting free machines. I'm not Oprah. Okay, don't like, hey, you get a machine and you get a machine.
No.
But having a contact at a machine company, maybe there's something. I don't know. Don't hold me to anything. I am booking these retreats. Barb is taking care of the back end of it and all of the stuff that she understands, and I'm the one there with the bag stuff and planning that kind of thing.
Stuff.
I'm getting my steps in because you walk and walk and walk and walk. And we're just trying to bring our community together to enjoy something that we
that
all
just
like
makes
to
me
do.
the fun person.
And Marlene, as long as we keep her fed, she's fine.
Yes.
So, which y'all know that. You learned that in the retreat. And if you didn't, join us and we'll tell you more stories about me and Marlene. But these retreats are not meant to be me pushing something on you, me trying to hey, look at, you can buy some. That's not it. I just want to have a place where we can all come together. And I have an expert here. I have an expert that knows how to run retreats and has ironing boards and contacts at places, and we're trying to work together. So whatever happens with machines and sponsors and all that, it's great if it happens. And if it doesn't, we're all still making bags. And we're bringing stuff. Charlie's comment's going to make
Holy
me laugh.
shnikes. I already want to go to a retreat with you. And I already want to buy an HD9. If I could go to a retreat and use an HD9 and then get a good deal on it, that would be amazing.
Amazing. And just on a side note, I plan. I'm a planner. I always have something going in my brain.
Yes.
What I have already thought, even though we don't even have prices for the retreat yet. No. We don't have anyone to sign up for it. But what I have already thought in my head is of course I'm going to bring this machine because people
Well,
might want to try it out.
Right.
And of course I'm going to bring my 15,000 because maybe you want to see what an embroidery machine looks like. I just want to have the stuff there for fun. Am I going to bring my rivet setter? Hell yeah, I'm going to bring that. I don't know if I'm supposed to say hell, but I just did. Am I going to bring all the other fun tools that I like to play with so that you can try them out? Yes, I want this to be so much fun that you never want to leave. That you all move to Lake George and we stay there forever. So, you know.
Well, we could go to, no, we can't. We can go to the Great Escape, but not.
We can't go to the Great Escape in January. I mean, we can, but there will be
No,
nobody
nothing.
there.
Nothing open.
Yeah, you'll be
So-
standing in the parking lot by yourself.
I have plans. We just are trying to finalize things. Stop it. And get information so that you know what's going on. Because I don't know how many of you have been to a retreat and know what to expect from in person and what to expect, you know, like in general. We want to give you that. Marlene and I talked about it before the virtual retreat, but that was all new to us too. So when we have more information, maybe next Friday we'll have some to share with you. We will sit down and Barb maybe can help me talk about what she does at a retreat, what she finds works, maybe give you guys some hints and tips on like, bring this, don't bother bringing that. This is what we bring. This is what you should bring. And you know, we can talk about that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we're at with everything. I think that's it. That I hope that helped if you had questions on my HD9. I get questions all the time. People want a separate video on this. So I will try. I have so many videos that I need to get done. I will try to do a video with me threading it and using it and showing some of the features. There's not a ton of features because it just does one job, but it does it super, super well. So that's kind of where we're at with that. If you have any other questions, if you're watching it later, let us know. We'll always answer them. I think that's
You
it.
want to answer this?
Oh yeah, give it to me.
Will there be goat-themed events at the in-person retreat?
Good God.
I don't think so,
No.
Elaine.
Well,
I'm gonna
I
say
doubt
probably
it.
You're
not.
not that far away from
I
go
doubt
walking
it.
if you want to go on a hike.
I'm gonna lean
Yeah.
towards no,
Yeah,
Maybe my dog.
but I don't know for sure.
I doubt
I'm
it.
gonna say probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not, but we'll see.
Puppies. Let's skip goats and have puppies.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fantastic idea.
My husband's friend Mike stopped over to our house yesterday for a minute and my dogs were going ballistic because that is what they do. And Mike said, which one of them bites? And I said, the black one. The brown one is kind of nervous. So Eric picks up Roxy and I have Zoe. And Roxy he held his hand out. She gave him a sniff and backed away because she's like, I don't know you and I'm not interested. And she doesn't like men. Zoe, on the other hand, she's like, hi. And she gets all close and she sniffs and then she goes like that. And I said, that's why I told you she bites. But at least he knew. So my dogs are not invited anywhere, actually. Outside of myself and Eric, they only like my mother and my sister. And that's about it, you know, and my stepfather sometimes. But yeah, there probably won't be puppies unless we can do like a bridesmaids kind of thing where they're like a giveaway. Can we get like a party favor puppy? We'll do that. Everybody gets a dog.
Everybody gets a dog, yay.
Thank you for tuning in for Chaos, as usual, on Fridays. I don't know what we're doing next Friday, but we'll be here.
Fun day
Doing
Friday.
something.
Friday. Yay.
That's all. Bye.
Bye.